After a year of waiting, here it is, the ultimate culmination in everything Doom related in the Ancient Gods Part 2 DLC. Now, I wanted to say this quickly. A large majority of players, myself included, have been very vocal with their thoughts and how this DLC is a little bit on the easier side, and considering the majority of us had pretty much a year to practice, I think it's safe to say that easy is a subjective word. Kind of like how calling me influential is subjective. I think all I've ever influenced is people's lack of relying on me. Anyways, if you've been around the channel for a while now and you've been following all of my previous UltraNightmare guides, you know typically I produce long-ass 20+ minute documentaries on demon spawns, how to move, what to use, when to pause the game, you know, to clean out your swamp ass from almost dying for the 15th time, and that's just for one level. Believe me, as much as I'd love to milk this thing, I think the best course of action was to just opt out of single level walkthroughs and instead focus on the more challenging aspects of the entire DLC, break down the escalation encounters, both the first and the second ones, help out with the new demon AI, double down on some fundamentals, and even talk about how to master the hammer, if you will, for lack of a better word. So this guide is, in Hugo's words, just like the DLC, a one-size-fits-all. I will split the video up in different sections, so whatever section you're actually looking for, go down in the description and you'll see the timestamps of when that part starts, when it ends, and anything else you're looking for. You know, you can jump around throughout the video. Before we get started, I have to talk about today's sponsor, Manscape.com. Look, I get it. We've all had some pretty intense moments of swamp ass and being so determined to get those shiny gold Slayer cheeks that we've neglected our own hygiene and developed some hair on our own two soul spheres. Luckily, Manscaped has you covered with their perfect package 3.0. This package comes with the Crop Reviver and Crop Preserver, which are toner and deodorant for your two weak points, both of which are designed to help them stay healthy and smell fantastic. And I'm talking even better than your mom's boyfriend when he comes out of the shower. It also comes with their signature Lawnmower 3.0 body and groin trimmer. And I'm sure you've seen all the commercials of this thing preaching skin-safe technology and how it comes with a light. But I gotta say, I actually used it without its guard, which it does come with, just to put my money where my mouth is. And the last time I used one of these trimmers down there without a guard, I almost turned into a girl. So the fact that this worked as advertised is surprising. So be sure to treat yourself by heading over to manscaped.com and using promo code Cynic at checkout for 20% off plus free shipping. And for a limited time, you can get a premium traveling bag and some clean drawers that are actually really comfortable to use. So big thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring today's video. So booting up the DLC, I think first thing is first. You want to get your runes and your weapon mods in order before you start to walk forward. Now normally whenever I do these guides, I let this be completely up to you because runes pretty much are something that's inherent to your specific playstyle, and I think we've all pretty much have found our own groove with what weapon mods we prefer, but for context I'm going to give you mine. My 3 runes never changed throughout this entire DLC, well throughout the entire game whenever I'm playing on UltraNightmare ultimately. I always play with air control. I feel like that is an absolute must as it gives you that little aerial versatility. I'm someone that likes to use the meat hook to throw myself in the air, and just being a little bit more nimble and more in control with your movement when you're airborne is that much more important. So I always play with air control, and I also think Equipment Fiend is an absolute must because you never know when you're going to need that extra flame belch for that tad bit of extra armor, or even a grenade or an ice bomb placement that is going to come in clutch at the perfect time. Now my 3rd rune is Punch and Reeve. I've talked about this in the past. Punch and Reeve is something that you can learn to quote-unquote abuse just by constantly refilling your blood punch. The idea behind this is whenever you pick up extra health and your health is already full, it's just going to contribute to your blood punch, which allows you to basically fist the hell out of everything in the arena. And I've been told that you can actually beat the entire world spear up until acquiring the hammer just by abusing blood punch with the Punch and Reeve rune. But anyways, that's pretty much what I play with. You can use the rune that increases demon staggers, which is probably great for lining up back-to-back glory kills, for charging up your hammer, and maybe even on top of that, the rune that allows you to initiate a glory kill from a greater distance. Stuff like that is always handy. When you're on the verge of death, you can't ask for anything better for those invincibility frames to activate while you catch your breath and, you know, rip this demon apart. Those are the runes that I use, as well as some others that could be essential once you actually acquire the hammer. Moving on to weapon mods. Just like the runes, this is completely up to you, although if you're not someone that uses a shield mod on the chain gun, know you're actively hurting yourself by not taking advantage of that godsend. I mean, the shield mod is a bubble, pretty much provides full 360 protection from incoming attacks. It saves you from receiving any type of fall damage, so it's something that you want to pull out if you fuck up on a platforming section or you get knocked out of the map. If you pull it out just fast enough, you won't receive any type of fall damage. And it even protects you from the fog that hurts you on the world spear, allowing you to essentially remove that buff totem as soon as it spawns in, if you're ballsy enough. This is a tool that you should really get into the habit of using when you're on the verge of death or need a moment to survey your environment without the threat of being killed. I mean, look at this Marauder almost ending my life. As soon as I pulled it up, I completely recovered. You can also use both grenade types and even blood punch with this thing up, provided your finger placement allows for it. So this is something that I highly recommend you get into the habit of using at key moments, as it's just one of those things that gives you a small advantage. I think knowing about that kind of goes into the more advanced fundamentals, which I wanted to talk about here. Again, if you want to jump to anything else, there are timestamps in the description if you're looking for something specific. Well, let's talk about basic movement, setting up for glory kills, and I guess a crash course for the meat hook and how to use it in combat. First thing is first, with the environments in this DLC being so open, don't be afraid to have the demons come to you. You don't have to jump in the middle of every single fight and deal with everything at once. You're basically asking for trouble and you're guaranteed to die if your skill level obviously isn't that high enough. Now that the AI in this game are pretty predictable, if you still haven't gotten used to it, what I would recommend is hopping into this first arena in World Spear and getting a feel for moving in a circular motion on the outside to kind of isolate the fodder demon from the heavier demon, giving you opportunities to concentrate your attention on those heavier demons, or even getting a nice resource pool by hitting those fodders with a flame belch followed by a grenade, and then meat hooking, whether it being a fodder or a heavy demon on the outskirts, to help pull you through all those armor shards that are on the ground, but also give you a nice aerial advantage at the same time to rain hell on anything else that could be potentially in the arena. Now I'm showing in these clips moving the way I am because I think these are prime examples that just using the entire space can help you tremendously. I'm single dashing rather than double dashing. I think single dashing is a little bit more advantageous. And of course in the arena there's also jump pads. Other arenas have monkey bars and portals. Those are things you want to take advantage of as well, especially with the air control rune. You're not really going to be touched all that much. The tools are all ultimately there to help beat every arena. You just got to learn how to use them. Now I've already broke down meat hooking and how to utilize that in depth if you want to check out that video, but ultimately the basic rundown is whenever you use the meat hook, regardless of whatever platform you're on, if you're on PC, if you're playing on insane frame rates, how fast you move and how far you can propel yourself is tied to your frame rate. So on console, since you're locked on a specific frame rate, it's a little bit more predictable, but essentially meat hook is how you're going to traverse these arenas, but also how you're going to get the advantage when you're in the air. The best way to detach your meat hook, if you don't know by now, is by jumping, and by doing so you're going to be propelled in whatever direction that you jumped in. You can jump directly above and over the demons that you attach yourself to. You can jump to the left or right of the demon, and it's doable on all platforms. Again, how fast and how far you're propelled is tied to your frame rate. So on PC, if you can play on incredibly high frame rates, you're going to be thrown a little further, but that's still how the mechanic works regardless of platform. The last thing I wanted to touch on was in reference to glory kills. Again, whenever you perform a chainsaw or glory kill, you are invincible, which means these actions are more than just fundamentals to the gameplay loop. These are tactical options you can take advantage of, whether if you want to reposition yourself on another side of the arena and you're being blocked by a line of demons, or if you're about to be cornered, or if you need a moment of reprievement, you can go ahead and activate a glory or a chainsaw kill. I'm always preaching of dashing once you break that animation, because you're obviously going to be vulnerable again, but I also highly recommend right before you initiate that glory kill or that chainsaw kill, drop down a grenade. The reason being is that grenades are guaranteed falters, and that by the time you get out of said animation, all the demons around you are still going to be faltered, giving you that extra second to move away. Plus, by doing so, all that extra health and armor you just acquired wasn't just for nothing. You're not going to immediately be slapped in the ass as soon as you break out of the animation. Do take note that every single arena in this DLC is filled with fodder demon as well. Every single one can very easily be put into a glory kill with just 2 shots from the heavy cannon. With the exception of the mech zombie, that one can actually take a direct sticky bomb on the head and then glory kill, or even the regular soldier. With him, I would recommend a sticky bomb at his feet, because if you can get 2 or 3 of them together and you land a sticky bomb perfectly in the middle of them, that's 3 glory kills back to back to back, and you only need 2 glory kills or 2 weak points to charge up your hammer. The point here being is there's always something for you to cut into to charge your hammer, replenish your health, catch your breath, or all of the above. Now let's actually take this moment to move into the 3 new demons and the hammer. I've already covered the hammer and how to abuse that in depth, so just like meat hooking, I will provide a crash course here. Feel free to check out the Sentinel Hammer video if you want to know a lot more about it for certain situations. Let's begin this part with objectively the most annoying new demon in this DLC, the Cursed Prowler. Now he's just a Prowler with the added twist. Once you're touched by it, you can no longer dash or use your meat hook and need to kill it via a blood punch. That's the only way to uncurse yourself. Beyond that one gimmick, there's nothing special about the Cursed Prowler, meaning you can kill it the same way you can get rid of the normal Prowler. A simple burst from the lock-on mod from the rocket launcher. It instantly kills it. Chainsawing him, if you have enough canisters to do so, also works. A sentinel hammer can immediately kill it, or the shockwave of it will put it into a glory kill. You can also use the ice bomb to freeze it to get him stuck in his tracks. Use the microwave beam or a frag grenade to stun him or make him falter to open him up to opportunities to kill him as well. A nice tidbit of information that not too many people know either is that once you're cursed by the Prowler, you can still use your equipment. So frags, ice bomb, microwave beam, all that stuff is still available towards you. So if you want to stop him from teleporting or give you an extra chance to hit him with the blood punch if you are cursed, don't forget, drop that frag to make him falter, or drop that ice bomb to get him frozen. I was gonna break down every single one of his spawns, or to tell you to listen to the audio cue when he spawns, but that's kind of confusing because the cursed Prowler and the normal Prowler sounds the same. So instead, I wanted to share some general knowledge so that way you can keep an eye out for when these Prowlers do enter the arena. There's a grand total of 6 cursed Prowlers throughout the entire DLC. First one spawns at the beginning of Reclaimed Earth. The second one is in this big fight following that very first small encounter. This cursed Prowler actually spawns in once all the whiplashes spawn in, and luckily the 2 that you get during those escalation encounters are both very predictable. They both spawn in on the second wave. So for the first encounter, when you take care of both of those Mancubi and the Revenants spawn in, the Revenants are telltale signs that the cursed Prowler is also spawned in. And for the second encounter, the cursed Prowler spawns in once the Archvile spawns in. And the Archvile's on the second wave of demons. I believe the first wave is filled with 2 Hell Knights, 2 Arachnotrons, and 2 Pinkies. Once all that stuff is cleared out, an Archvile is going to spawn, and a cursed Prowler spawns with it. Now the spawns do seem to change every now and again, not drastically, but I've had the Archvile spawn in 2 or 3 different locations, and the same thing for the cursed Prowler. So in situations like that, what I would recommend you doing, once you know that Archvile is spawned in for the second encounter or for the first encounter, once you take out all of those Mancubi, I suggest utilizing the jump pads in the arena and trying to stay airborne, pulling out the shield mod to ensure that you don't get hit by the cursed Prowler when you're airborne, and just trying to pinpoint where exactly it is and eliminating it ASAP, because you don't want to get cursed in the middle of a fight. There's also a cursed Prowler in the very last fight of this level after you take care of both of the Doom Hunters, and then you don't see him again until the very last big fight on Amora, and his spawn is easy. As soon as that fight starts up, just go up to your left here and he spawns right there, so you can always eliminate him immediately from that fight. Let's move on to Armored Barons now. Their attack patterns are extremely predictable, and I would argue because of their weak point, they're even easier than normal Barons, because whenever you destroy a weak point on any demon, they do falter for a second or two, giving you some additional time to get a few extra shots off. Now with the Armored Baron, whenever it's introduced into a fight, they're always immediately going to open themselves up to destroy that weak point, and there's a pretty good amount of time for you to take that weak point out with a ballista or precision bolt shot. Now the Armored Baron does regenerate its armor. It does take just long enough for you to actually be able to get rid of it. However, if you're afraid that you're not going to be able to stop it or kill it before its armor comes back, you can ice bomb it. You can also hit it with the microwave beam or even hit it with the sentinel hammer. All of those actions will delay the armor from regenerating, giving you some extra time. But in the event that you don't manage to kill it and its armor does come back, then what I would suggest doing is staying somewhat close, baiting it to swipe at you, because after that swipe, it's now going to open itself up to that weak point again. And you can just keep doing that back and forth. Once you destroy that weak point and its armor regenerates, it seems like it always has to go for a swipe attack, and it's not going to immediately go for a weak point elimination opportunity. So that would be my recommendation on baiting it and being able to get rid of it ASAP. And then finally the Stone Imp. I mean, nothing crazy here, just use a full auto shotgun to instantly kill it. If not, you can hit it with the Sentinel Hammer, that'll immediately kill it. You can also chainsaw Stone Imps, or if you want easy glory kills, just hit them once or twice with the full auto shotgun. Don't hit them in the head with that, because that will kill it, but just hit them once or twice with the full auto shotgun mod, and that should weaken them enough to get a glory kill off of them. You can also ice bomb them, although it's damn near almost ineffective because they do unfreeze within half a second. But with the breakdown of those new demons out of the way, let's move over to the hardest sections of every level. The first part I wanted to address was the purple goo section and World Spear. This section is hard because ultimately you're stuck in purple goo, you're incapable of really moving, you have a bunch of zombies thrown at you, then at the end of it you get 2 Mancubi thrown at you. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is that first Mancubus that spawns in is right next to a Screecher, so you don't want to accidentally kill that because you're guaranteeing yourself to die. Unless you're ballsy and you trigger that and then you want to move into the fog, you know, just pull up your shield mod and that'll protect you. At least you're able to move. But the way that I constantly deal with this section is I think it relies very heavily on knowing how to meat hook, you know, attaching yourself to that Mancubus, throwing yourself in the air, hitting the 2 cannons, and then swapping to the shield mod whenever you feel like you're going to need it or you're going to have a moment of vulnerability. But if you're not that good at meat hooking, you know, throwing yourself in the air and raining down hell, what I would suggest is whenever that first Mancubus spawns in, directly across from it, that second one is just about to spawn. Right before it jumps in, the purple goo with you, drop down either an ice bomb or a frag. The ice bomb will stun it and stun all the fodder demon around you. If you have the punch and reave rune active, you can hit all of them with the flame belch and then go to town just by blood punching everything. Or alternatively, if you do drop the frag, that'll falter it, giving you that second to deal with that Mancubus, its cannons, and all the fodder around that one. I still highly suggest knowing how to meat hook. I think that makes this section so much easier because you're not being restricted in your movement. It's also a good idea that before the Mancubi spawn in, just feed your armor and your health with flame belch and blood punching and glory killing as many of these demons that you can before those 2 Mancubi spawn in. Moving over into the next fight, right after acquiring the Sentinel Hammer, you're dropped into this arena that's actually just big enough for you to constantly break lines of sight, which is perfect because in this fight we also have 2 portals, we have some monkey bars that we can take advantage of, and now that we have the Sentinel Hammer, this is something you immediately want to abuse. As soon as you spawn in the fight, there's a bunch of Revenants directly in front of you. I highly suggest focusing on those 2 Revenants, charging up your hammer, and then trying to get as many demons in the center directly below you and hitting them all with the hammer. That way you're dazing all of them, but you're also getting a huge ammunition return for that. Once you kill about 3 or 4 Revenants, 2 Cackles are going to spawn in, and then after those 2 Cackles, there's going to be 2 Arachnotrons. One of them is going to be possessed. And the best thing against possessed demons is always going to be lock-on mod and micro missiles. You want to charge up your micro missiles by killing one of the fodder demons with the normal firing of the heavy cannon. That'll charge up your micro missiles and provide an extra damage boost to the possessed Arachnotron. And I wanted to say that there's no rush in killing this thing. The clips that I'm showing are prime examples of mediocre gameplay, in my words, on Nightmare and UltraNightmare. You know, not really being that quick on movement or weapon swapping. You can basically constantly play peekaboo with these portals, isolating fodder demon, getting him into a glory kill, charging up those micro missiles, and chipping away at that possessed Arachnotron. The name of the game in all of these arena fights ultimately is movement. And while in this specific arena the fight instantly starts, in every single escalation encounter, regardless of what map we're talking about, you always have moments to survey your environment, which gives you the perfect opportunities to make note of jump pads, of BFG shots that are in the arenas, some Sentinel Hammer pickups that are also in the arenas, portal entry and exit points, and possible routes of escape. You know, chaining a portal exit to a launch pad over to meet her back to another portal, only to go back and forth, is a good way to pretty much stay elusive and keep the demons on their toes. Again, no rush. The next thing was in the second escalation encounter on World Spear. Well, the way I start off this fight essentially is the same way I start off the first escalation encounter. You move towards this back hill. There's going to be 2 Cackle demons that spawn on your right and your left. Sticky bomb both of those. Glory kill one of them, hit him with the flame belch beforehand, and then meat hook the other one and glory kill him as well. That way you're getting some armor returns from both of these demons. From there, you want to dash away, kind of drop down. Your prime targets are now all of the flying demons, which I believe is another Cackle demon or 2 on top of 2 pain elementals. The point being, you want to have air superiority here because the following wave is going to be filled with Hell Knights. And in case you guys didn't know, whenever you're airborne, Hell Knights basically freeze in place. And if you have all the flying demons taken care of, then you don't have to worry about really being hit in the air. What I like to do when it comes to the Hell Knights is basically find a way to bait all of them into one spot, hit them with the ice bomb, follow that with the hammer, flame belch, and then just constantly blood punch everything there. The more demons affected by the ice bomb, then blood punch, the better, because that's going to be more health feeding punch and reave, hence feeding your blood punch. You probably noticed that I'm using the shield mod quite a bit too, because I'm playing very aggressively here, but I felt like I was moving very sloppy. So whether if you're playing like that or you need that moment to catch your breath and survey your environment, the shield mod is perfect for whenever you're in a pinch. But once the Hell Knights are taken care of, you're going to have a wave of Mancubi and Cyber Mancubi. If you're not used to hammer, I think this is a prime opportunity for you to focus on the cannons of the Mancubus, to charge up your hammer, and then use the hammer on bunched fodder demon and maybe even the Cyber Mancubus. That way you get a better feel for incorporating that into your combat. If not, then, you know, go to town, go ahead and take care of these demons. Again, I highly recommend being airborne whenever dealing with them. It just allows you a massive advantage. Once that wave is taken care of, you have 2 Archviles that are now spawning in. followed by Doom Hunters. Now Archviles are easy. Hit them with an Ice Bomb or hit them with the Sentinel Hammer to freeze them in place. 2 lock-on bursts from the rocket launcher instantly kills them. If you don't have a Sentinel Hammer charge or an Ice Bomb ready, you can always use a frag or the microwave beam to falter and stun them to get the same effect. And I'm also showing where the 2 Archviles spawn. The one spawns on that pillar, like right behind the portal, and the other one spawns down here underneath the platform that you first enter the arena in. But for Doom Hunters, if you drop a Sentinel Hammer on them, not only does it daze them, but it completely gets rid of their shield. They'll still have their sled, but their body is vulnerable. So while they're dazed, you can actually Precision Bolt, Ballista, Super Shotgun, combo them into the ground. Or you can Blood Punch or Ice Bomb them, whatever you feel. But I think a Sentinel Hammer followed by, prioritizing their body is the best way to go about it. Moving over into the escalations on Reclaimed Earth. Again, before even starting the fight, I highly suggest you surveying the entire environment. In this escalation, you have a BFG shot downstairs, and you also have a Sentinel Hammer upstairs. The cool thing about this fight is that even though it's nowhere near as open as the World Spirit escalation encounter, corners are just tight enough for you to Meathook yourself around corners and utilize jump pads in ways that will allow for quick, easy escapes. I think with this encounter, it really just boils down to knowing the environment really well, because there's also a monkey bar. There's a lot of shit in this arena that you can take advantage of. Up top where the portal is, if you want to jump through that portal and there's a Mancubus blocking the other exit, you can always switch to the shield mod, jump through the portal, and then dash away. Whenever the Marauder spawns, I like to basically bait him over into this corner right here because my left side is guarded by this wall, but there's also a little exit where you can escape from. If you ever feel like the Marauder's going to hit you or he's not going to open himself up to attack, you can always dash to the left, hit that jump pad, and completely escape. And if you're attempting the second encounter, your hammer is now upgraded, so you get additional health and armor from Ice Bomb and Flame Belch afflicted demons. Whenever you hit them with the hammer, then you get all that stuff back. Again, Punch and Reeve comes in handy there. I think I've already touched on the hardest part, which is when that cursed Prowler spawns in and the Archvile, which once you take out all of the Revenants, both of those are going to spawn in. Provided how fast you are, you can either prioritize that Archvile or, Ice Bomb the Archvile and try to hunt down that cursed Prowler. I really hated this encounter at first, but I think this is the one you should really practice on for tighter spaces and knowing escape routes. Again, single dashing or dashing after glory kills or chainsaw animations are always things that you should be learning how to implement in your escape routes. And there's a point where you are going to be facing a possessed Hell Knight. As I said, Hell Knights freeze when you're in the air, so I highly recommend taking advantage of those jump pads. Constantly stay on the move. He's definitely a demon you want to chip out, provided that the arena is so damn small. So with him, I would suggest kind of going around the arena looking for some fodder demon to kill with the heavy cannon to charge up your micro missiles, and then chip at him that way. Run through the portals back and forth to keep him constantly moving back and forth. Shield mod, glory kills, and chainsaws whenever you need it. Now that you have the hammer, chainsaws are more for moments of catching your breath rather than moments of replenishing your ammunition. And what you take from this arena, you can carry over to the final fight and even the very last big fight in Amora. All these fights are ultimately the same. It's all about staying on the move, staying airborne, using the hammer at precise moments. By the time you actually reach Amora, your hammer is maxed out. Ice Bomb, Flame Belch are definitely things that you should be doing, and then following that with a hammer use, so that way you get the most out of your health, the most out of your ammo, and the most out of your armor if you hit him with the Flame Belch as well. I do hope this helped. I really didn't feel like this was something that needed a giant breakdown in every single level, since a lot of the fights are similar in layouts. It's just a, hey, remember what you did in last level? Let me see you do it again, only with this demon, or that demon, or a jump pad over there rather than right in front of you. A long ass video. If you made it this far, then right in between the sour cream in the comment section. Very weird out of context. And I also left out the Dark Lord fight because I have a full in-depth guide on how to beat him in UltraNightmare if you want to check that out. I was trying to make this as straight and to the point as I possibly could. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you want to yell at me, share any tips, tricks, mention all the shit that I forgot, feel free to do so down in the comment section. And if you guys haven't joined the Discord yet, link to that is always in the pinned comment. It is a strange place, but until next time, let's celebrate Doom Eternal's 1 year anniversary together, even though I'm late on it.